So here I am in a little workshop working on unloading. I know the light's bad. Some 45 Colt brass. This is spent brass. These are resized and primed. I'm using, let's see if I can pick stuff up without throwing it everywhere, the Lee Classic 45 Colt reloading set. And I have one in the sizing die. It's ready to be primed. I have a primer, the little seat here. This is also the bullet seater. My little flat anvil on the bench vise. The instructions say to use a mallet, a rubber mallet, or a block of wood, but I have had no luck with that whatsoever, to the point where I have resorted to using a brass mallet. Now, I can only assume I have set off a primer with this set, and I believe that's almost inevitable with the nature of this, putting together explosives with a hammer. But I was unharmed, thankfully. The priming rod did go flying. It was loud, but due to the nature of this, I don't believe you're going to mar this priming rod, the steel rod. I believe this is just mild steel. I don't think it's has a very high carbon content at all. But with this brass hammer, I don't think I'm going to hurt it, since you're hitting the primer with a hammer either way, rubber, brass, steel, or a block of wood. I think as long as you listen for the tone of the chain, because you can feel and hear when that primer sets. So I'm going to hit it a few times. Hopefully this doesn't shake the camera too bad. I know there's plenty of videos about this, but they always go really smooth in the videos that I seem to watch. So if you're having trouble with your die, now I don't know if it's just something you're going to have to load a couple hundred rounds possibly, then this die will finally, brass is soft, so I don't think this brass is going to work this die any. And I'm lubing cases, all that. They're not really getting stuck. Just can't get the primer to seat without using this brass hammer. So if you're having trouble like I am, this is to show that it does work. I've loaded almost 50 cases, not a lot given, and I have had one primer go off, but to its credit, that primer went off in a blank that I had made. I had drilled out the priming hole to 1/8 inch, which is necessary so the primer caps don't back out due to the gas. And I think there was a burr inside that priming hole that caused the primer to detonate. So I don't think it was the fault of the loader. I don't think it was the brass hammer. So you have the primer set, a little die. My case is seated flush inside of this, the resizing die. It's flush, don't feel any ridges. I take it, set it on top, set the priming rod, and go with the mallet. So I'm going to take my time, just a few, and I don't know if it'll pick up on camera, but you can hear a sharper, it goes from a dull thud to a little higher pitch thwack whenever that primer is fully seated. There it went. That last hit, I felt it go, and I heard the change, and there we go. You can now see that the case is about, I don't know, not even a quarter inch out of the case, and the primer is flush. And you will sometimes, the first one I did, I tried to use the rubber mallet again, and it's fine. I'm shooting these out of a Uberti clone, so there is a little bit of gap in the back of that cylinder. So I'm not too worried about shooting this. But the first one I did tonight, not the first one I've done ever, but the first one tonight, I tried with the rubber mallet again, and it's raised a hair. You couldn't see it on camera, I don't believe. you can't even really tell with the naked eye, but you can feel it. But this one, it's good. So you have the little depriming cap, and you actually do a lot of the work in the Lee loader. I'm not going to do a video on the Lee loader. I don't think that's necessary. There's plenty of great videos out there. This is just showing kind of if it is getting stuck. It's not exactly warranty worthy. If you lose a finger, don't blame me. You don't blame Lee. But the brass hammer does work. So stick this in here on the top. Priming rod goes back in to the crimp side. Brass hammer again. 2 legs that came out. Now it's good. It goes in my little holder. It's ready for shaping, powder, then lead. So that's that. And I'll do one more kind of quickly. Brass goes in. I use the rubber mallet, the plastic mallet, for seating the cases into the die. I just don't want to damage the back of the case any more than necessary. That goes in pretty easy. Sometimes they don't want to seat. I think that's just the nature of the brass. I have a mixture of brass here. It's not all star or anything like that. These are all factory cases that I have shot and saved the brass from. It goes on there. No, it would be really funny if I busted a primer on video. There's the tone change. I know it's seated. I felt it. It's good. Brass hammer makes short work. There we go. That's it. That is loading a primer, shaping the brass, setting a primer with the Lee Classic Reloader set with difficulties, because I know I'm probably not the only one that's had this problem. Wanted to get it on video. The brass hammer does work if you're having problems seating it, because I was scared to death of busting a primer and hurting myself. Oh, careful. Turns out not to be a huge issue as long as you don't have your face over the priming. But yeah, brass mallet works wonders. Yeah, good.